Thank you very much. A lot of things going on. We're going to be going over to the Hill, and we're having a lot of meetings. From the financial, this is a medical situation, not a financial situation. Financial, though, is moving along very nicely. I want to thank you for being here and update you on the progress we've made after a week of extraordinary mobilization in our war against the virus. Governors, mayors, the businesses, charities, and citizens are all working with urgency and speed toward one common goal, which is saving American lives. We're in communication with foreign countries. It's now at 148 foreign countries. Can you believe that? 100, you talk about a spread, you talk about a violent spread, 148 countries. Not even believable. There's been a week of national action and of great national solidarity. People are getting along. We're getting along with Republicans and Democrats and independents and liberals and conservatives, and actually it's a very nice thing to see. We're all one beautiful, big American family, and that's taking place right now. Last night I approved major disaster declaration for the state of New York. Worked very closely with Governor Cuomo. And this is the first time in our nation's history that a president's used the Stafford Act to declare a major disaster in response to a public health crisis. Never happened before. I'm considering other areas where we may or may not be doing that, and I'm working very closely with Gavin Newsom, Governor of California, and others. We may be doing the same thing depending on their needs, depending on what they're asking for. It's been unprecedented action in New York, and we've had a tremendous federal response all over the country. And I want to thank all the people in the federal government and obviously in the state governments and local governments. We are working hard. Everybody is working hard. And the people standing alongside of me are working very hard. That I can tell you. We've also reached agreements with Canada and Mexico on new travel rules at our northern and southern borders to halt the entry of the Chinese virus while continuing trade and commerce. And we've had very good talks. With Prime Minister Trudeau, and today, this morning, with President Lopez Obrador. We talked about joint measures that we're taking to prevent the spread of the virus in our countries and to temporarily suspend non-essential travel. We had a great conversation this morning, President of Mexico, and our close cooperation with Mexico and Canada will keep our people healthy, keep their people healthy, keep everybody safe. Yesterday, I had a call with 12,000 small businesses, representatives of these businesses. That's the engine of our country. People don't realize that. You know, you read all about the big ones, but these small business, when you add them up together, are really the engine, economic engine of our country. And I assured them that my administration is doing everything within its very considerable power, frankly, to support them and their employees. Nobody's ever done what we've done. Likewise, I had calls during the week with all sorts of representatives and systems like the hospital system. We spoke to many of the hospital systems throughout the country, nurses and doctors, representatives representing hundreds of thousands of nurses and doctors, airlines and cruise ship companies, the Business Roundtable, which was fully attended, and it's all of the top CEOs of our country and beyond, frankly, the businessmen of really, these are world-styled businessmen. These are businessmen that control the biggest companies in the world. Many of them have taken hits, and many of them are just, going forward. Their businesses have been great. Some have been very badly affected. Some haven't been affected at all, and frankly, some are doing very well. They continue to do very well. It's Walmart, as an example, has been really helpful to us. Doug McMillan, head of Walmart, really helpful to us, and I guess I assume they're doing pretty well because people are certainly buying more than even a clip at Christmas by substantial numbers. Pretty amazing, but they're doing incredibly. They put on tremendous extra staff. You don't have empty shelves. A lot of things have happened that are very good. Restaurants, fast food executives, grocery stores, all retailers, literally all of them, in groups. And we spoke with the G7 leaders at length, as you know. You probably know about that. Spoke to many of the governors, spoke to almost all of the governors at conference calls and many of the governors individually. And very importantly, the religious leaders. We had a great conversation yesterday, the Vice President and myself, with the religious leaders of our country, many of the religious leaders, and we've had a number of them during the course of the last 2 weeks, actually. But yesterday we had a very significant call with the religious leaders of our country. I signed legislation providing American workers with paid sick leave and paid family medical leave at no cost to employers, and free testing for those who need it. The testing is going very well, and the Admiral will speak to that along with Tony. We're working quickly to pass additional legislation that will provide massive relief to small businesses and affected industries and give direct payments to our great workers and hardworking American families. There's never been anything like we're doing on the Hill right now. They're negotiating. Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, they're all up there. Kevin McCarthy and Nancy Pelosi. They're all negotiating, and everybody's working hard, and they want to get to a solution that's the right solution. I think we're getting very close. We've also announced that we've moved tax day from April 15th to July 15th, which is a big deal, giving businesses and individuals extra time to file and pay without interest or penalties. So we've moved the date way back, and so it'll be July 15th instead of your traditional April 15th. And very importantly, you will have a lot of time, but you're not going to have interest penalties or any kind of penalties by filing at that later date. HUD announced that foreclosures and evictions are suspended for single-family homeowners with FHA-insured mortgages for the next 60 days. And our great head of HUD, who's with us today, Ben Carson's going to say a few words in a moment. The Department of Education will not enforce standardized testing, which is another big deal, requirements for students in elementary through high school for the current school year. Not fair to do that. So we are waiving that. I would imagine it's probably the first time ever that's been waived, but I think it's only fair to the students and to the parents of the students. It is also waiving interest and other things that we're discussing right now on federally held student loans, and directed that borrowers be allowed to suspend their student loan payments without penalty for at least 60 days. And we'll be talking about student loans, going to help the students. They're under a great burden right now, so we will be talking about that further, but we're waiving during the 60-day period various elements and very important elements on student loans, big subject. I signed an executive order invoking the Defense Production Act, as you all know, giving us powerful new authorities to help states, cities, and hospitals procure needed supplies. There's been a clear call to action to the private sector, and the call is made right here. It's been really pretty amazing what's happened with the private sector. They are really in sixth gear, I think, which has responded in full force, helping to produce and supply much-needed masks, swabs, sanitizers, ventilators, and everything else. There's a move on that's incredible right now. And by way of example, Hanes, everybody knows Hanes, great company, great consumer cotton products company, is retrofitting its manufacturing capabilities in large sections of their plants to produce masks. And they're in that process right now. And in my direction, the FDA has taken rapid steps to make these items available for medical use right now. I mean, most excitingly to me is what the FDA has done in order to get possibly a very successful number. It's not just one or two, number of therapeutics, medicines that can help people that are already sick, help people not get sick, And obviously, you know about the vaccine, and Tony will discuss that a little bit later, but the vaccine is moving along. But this is something that right now, this is what we really, it's incredible. And what the FDA has done, and Dr. Stephen Hahn, who's highly respected, came as just a highly respected man. He's been fantastic. He's only been here for a couple of months, and he's gotten thrown into the swim of it, and he's really standing up. But the FDA has really moved the mountains. I said it this morning. They moved mountains to get approvals on things that maybe work. We'll find out very soon. It won't take long. An example of the Pernod Ricard, which is this is really an example where we're repurposing alcohol. They went out and repurposed their alcohol production capabilities in Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas, and West Virginia to make hand sanitizer. That's a big difference. And they've been unbelievable. They really have. Pernod Ricard. Their first delivery will be on Tuesday. It's going to go to various states. They're going to start, I think, in New York, and they're going to work their way around. They're making a tremendous amount of hand sanitizer at a very high level, too, by the way. We've activated the National Response Coordination Center to level 1. That's your highest level. This is the nerve center of all of our government response to crisis, and it's coordinating very closely with our nation's governors. Many of you were at the call yesterday with the governors, and I think you can see the relationship, and we've had numerous calls with governors, by the way, but the relationships are pretty amazing. They're loving what we're doing, and the coordination between the federal government and the governors, states, and even local has been pretty incredible. FEMA Administrator Pete Gaynor, who is with us, will soon be providing you with an update on the center's operations, and FEMA's been incredible. We got them involved last week, very much involved, and now they're involved nationwide. We've dramatically expanded telehealth so Americans can see a doctor without leaving home, something which more and more people are using, and now they're really using it, and now the ones that are using it are loving it. And I think we're going to change the way our country functions medically and probably in other ways because of what's going on right now. This will reduce the chance of infection and preserve hospital capacity, so it solves a lot of problems. Every American has a role to play in defending our nation from this invisible, horrible enemy. It really is. It's an invisible enemy. And we will be successful, very successful, hopefully very much sooner than people would even think. So we say stay at home and save lives. There's a time of shared national sacrifice, but it's also a time to treasure our loved ones and to take stock of what is most important, our faith, our families, our neighbors, and our great country. And I want to thank all of the incredible people of our country, the citizens of our country, that what you've done and the way you're responding has just been very special, something that we will never forget, that the history book